Is there ever a time when you do write a song that you're just, oof, I don't know if I can share this. This is too personal or something like that?
I love when that happens because
Hmm.
usually that's when I'm like, I know I have something good.
Yeah.
So those are the moments that I like. With music, I'm so comfortable and I kind of know what works for me.
Hmm.
And I kind of can feel like, oh, this is a song that's going to feel good to me performing this for years, like I can tell that.
Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 499, one away from the big 500. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do for episode 500. Maybe it'll be a solo episode, but, something will be done, or nothing will be done. Either or, there will be a 500th episode. And of course, if you want to keep up with me and the socials and all that jazz, it's always at Casting for Two. And castingfor2.com is the perfect place to go to if you want to see, links to all your favorite podcasting services. I have it all compiled. It's easy. It's there. You're welcome. My guest today is a phenomenal singer, songwriter, musician, individual, Oregonian, just like wonderful person from the band Maria Maita-Keppeler is on the podcast, and I just had a blast chatting with Maria. And she has, or the band has a new album out, which is really their previous album, just an acoustic version, but still new feel. And I recommend people check it out. And just so much fun chatting with her. But you know what? I'm done because we need to get into this chat. All right. So everybody sit back, relax, and Maria, take it away. But how are you doing today?
I'm I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing really well. It's been a very productive day.
Okay.
It's a beautiful day in Portland,
Yeah.
actually.
It's well, and so I don't want to talk about the weather all the time, but how's the weather today?
The weather today is sunny and clear. It's not too cold. Um, it's a lucky day for Portland. It's a lucky weather day.
I feel like because I'm from Salem, so
Hmm.
I know Pacific Northwest, weather and all that jazz. And anytime I see snow or frost happens, I'm just like, oh, I get sad. And then when it happens here, it's just not as fun because people aren't used to it,
Uh-huh.
and it's just just it's craziness. It's craziness here. So I'm just like, okay, it takes the fun out of the weather a little bit,
Hmm. Yeah.
but
Yes. Well,
it's
at
okay.
least, you know.
It's fine. And but I'm a fan of the Pacific Northwestern weather, the
Hmm.
rain, stuff like
Hmm.
that. So that is my ideal. But people, again,
Wow.
when it rains, it's okay. We can't go outside. It's raining, and that's when I come alive. I'm like, oh, I need to do stuff because it's raining.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know I'm complicated, and I'm sorry to bring this on to you on our first chat, but I throw it out there. Okay, I'm honest. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
and as you can see, this is a loose chat where we
Uh-huh.
we can chat about anything. But
Cool.
I did have the chance to listen to the acoustic record. I didn't want to say the new
Hmm.
record, even though technically it's new, but it's acoustic.
Right.
But I'm just more curious in finding out more about you. Um, and obviously for the past couple of years, it's been crazy with the pandemic and all of that. And I'm just curious, during the whole shelter at home and stay at home basically. Did you find yourself being productive, or what did you do at that time?
Well, okay, so I still had a job through
Mm.
the beginning of that period. Can you hear me well, by the way?
Yes.
Am I coming through okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I have my headphones in, um so yeah, it was I when it first happened, I had this remote job and I was
Mm.
actually just about getting ready to quit this job because I was going to go on tour and I was planning on being on tour the whole year
Mm.
to support our record. And then when the news started coming in, I decided to not quit my job because clearly something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And oh my God, if I had, I would have been screwed. Like I would have just quit this job, ineligible for unemployment. Like I don't even know how I would have made it,
Yeah.
but um, I had a job. So right at the beginning, I didn't really have that like ample free time. I still had a 9 to 5 that I just did from home, and I felt a little bit left out of that whole uh, mandatory, uh, do nothing
Yeah.
section of COVID. Um, Although I don't want to, I think I am very lucky to have had a job and I appreciate that. And then I did end up getting laid off later and went through that whole experience anyways. It just was like 6 months into the pandemic as opposed to right at the beginning. So it's
Mm.
actually better because all the shock had worn off. People were a little more comfortable with everything and I could actually like have the space to create without being, scared about
Yeah.
what our future was going to hold.
I was in kind of the same similar situation where I was working and then it was just like, okay, go home. And it's just what, why? And then I did remote stuff for a bit and then eventually they were just like, we don't know how long this is going to last. So goodbye. I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
All right, cool, whatever. But yeah, and it's always funny because I look at, I have several family members that are teachers and just even though they were able to keep working throughout the entire thing, just the way of working totally switched for them, and it was
Oh, yeah.
what a weird what a we lived through that time, and it's just I feel like it didn't happen, but it did, and
It did.
it's yeah I'm just I just can't believe that was an actual time that we all lived for or lived through, I
Not
guess I should say.
and and all of us did, right? There's not a
Yeah.
single person who was left out. So it's like we don't even have to talk about it, right? You don't have
Yeah.
to even be like, man, if you've been there, like you would know. It's like we were all like, yeah, we were all there.
Right. Yeah, and then
So
it's so funny when things happen that, obviously like this is going to be written in the history books at some point. And it's just it I wonder what it's going to say. Is it going to be factual? Is it going to be some sort of weird version? Like I don't like it's very interesting, but yeah, we all went through it. We all shared it, which in itself, I know again, bad situation. But it's still a unique situation that all of us got to go through it together. So
yeah, yeah, I know. I read this thing once. I think it was like a tweet or something of like, how do you like get ready to be forever be that asterisk
mm,
next to like every statistical historical chart
yeah,
2020 like
yeah,
nothing was the same. Like none of the graphs, every graph that exists was completely messed up during 2020.
yeah. Oh, oof. But and you mentioned touring. I saw that you have a ton of tour dates for 2023.
Oh, 20, we don't have a ton for 23.
Oh,
22 was our big year.
22. Sorry. Okay, 22.
Yeah.
I saw that. Anyway, but like what after going through that experience and doing the record, how when you first started playing in front of people, what was the feeling for you? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you just like, oh, what was that experience for you?
Oh, it was total excitement. It was really surreal. I think one of the first shows we had back to was a very big show. We were opening for this band Blind Pilot for
Mm,
2 days. And then on the third day, we were playing a Mississippi Studios show in Portland, which is like one of our favorite venues in town.
mhm.
But it was really surreal because it was like one of the first shows I'd played back, and also like I think the nicest show I've ever played. So it was a really weird situation where it's like the adrenaline and the surrealness of it
Mm.
and the stakes also. It was just like I couldn't even really process all of it. Like it kind of just made me feel weirdly like everything kind of canceled each other out, and I felt totally comfortable on stage. So
Was there that sense of from the audience where they were just excited just to get out and see music?
yeah. It I think people there was an energy for those first few shows back of people just being blissed out. Like
Mhm.
like wow, here we are. Especially those first two shows. It was like outside in a beautiful meadow with an ancient oak tree. Like I don't know, it was magical stuff. So we had a lucky return to live music for sure.
Nice, nice. I went to my first live show in December, and this was after, yeah, the whole pandemic, and it
Hmm.
it was this sense of, oh, I like nothing ever happened again. Like the past couple of years didn't even ever happen, and we were all just hanging out, having fun, dancing around, and yeah, for me, because again, I'm sure, I can't speak for everybody that was there, but I'm sure they went to previous things. But I'm a kind of a person that still is on alert, so I'm just like, no. But it was so much
Hmm.
fun, and I have another concert coming up that I'm excited for. So it's just
Hmm.
like, oh, music, this thing, finally, it's great. And yeah, so I can
Yeah.
I'm glad that the shows went well. And I saw that you did a pickathon.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a funny story. We weren't like officially on the lineup for
Mm,
Pickathon, but then once we got there, just because we know a lot of people in the scene, like first of all, they asked us to do like one of their pump house sessions, which is a
mm,
video session in this little hut like in the woods that they record. And so we played that. I was like, great, goal achieved, played Pickathon, that's awesome. And then this other thing happened where I had to fill in last minute for a band um, for a set at
mm,
it's like this curation set where there's a meal um, and a band and music and a Q&A sort of situation. And like I already had all my instruments there from
mm,
the night before when we played the pump house session. And it was very surreal. It was kind of like a dream that you might have because Pickathon has been my dream. Like it's always been my dream to play Pickathon. Like
really?
I went for 8 years. Like I just as a festival goer,
Mm,
and it's just very very dear to my heart. But we weren't playing it officially, like I said, and so I like woke up, went and got breakfast, was delivering breakfast to the crew who was working at the curation, and they were like, "Hey, like, can you put your food down? Like, we need you to fill in for an artist. Like, you should get on stage right now." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Just get on stage. Like, you have your guitar. Like, it's everyone's cool with it. Like, just fill in for this artist." And I did that, and it was very surreal. So yeah.
Pickathon will always have a place in my heart because I just got out of film school and I didn't know what to do. And I just answered this ad where they were looking for camera people for their shows.
Uh-huh.
And I remember like Happy Valley, where's that at? And and going there and just I, I don't think I've ever been to a music festival until Pickathon, and I had a blast. And they didn't pay me, but they were just
Uh-huh.
like, you know what? Hey, any drinks you want, just let us know. We just need camera
No,
people.
yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
and again, I'm just fresh out of film school, so I'm just like, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, let's hang out. And hey, get it's totally unprofessional, but yeah, I'll drink a beer while I'm doing camera right now,
Uh-huh.
and and saw a lot of good bands, and yeah, so whenever I hear Pickathon, just nothing but good memories. So
Totally.
I'm glad you were able uh, you know achieve a goal, but of course being there, yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It was awesome to get to participate in it in a different way.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And so just kind of again saying that I listened to the acoustic album, and I'm very curious, just because I like the way the songs are written. I love the fact that there's a story to them, which I feel like every song's a story, but yours is very like, okay, I can actually see it playing out in my head. Where did you learn to write songs?
I was always a writer, but I really started off by writing fiction. I love writing fiction.
Mm.
I would write novels that I never finished or showed anyone. And I had like such the good that like that classic like geek, who just writes
Yeah.
like young adult fantasy novels like in their bedroom. Like that was me. And so like my storytelling uh, muscles were very well exercised. And
Mm.
then when I started listening to um, like a lot of like the indie folk stuff of the mid 2000s, um, that's kind of where I got my like template of like, oh, that's how you write a song. Okay,
Mm.
cool. And I also learned a bit from everyone that I've listened to growing up. Like I had a big No Doubt phase, and I would notice in every single No Doubt song there was a bridge. Like every No
Mm.
Doubt song has a bridge. I was like, oh, that's interesting. There's a part in the song where it does a new melody that isn't connected to the verses or the chorus. That's what you need in every single song. And
Mm.
so I like, you learn little things like that just from the music that you listen to.
Okay. And I'm just curious now that you've written music and had time to hone your craft. Do you want to go back to those young adult books, stories that you wrote when you were younger, and just say, I'm going
I
to conquer
do.
this?
Yeah, I dabble. Sometimes if I have the time, I'll get up and I'll start another little story. I have a couple stories going. And I'll just like chip away at them, but I never really get into the groove because I just have so little time as it is
Mm.
that sometimes I look at like, and I also like to paint and draw. And this has been my like struggle for as long as I can remember is like, I have like, okay, a chunk of free time. Do I do music? Do I write
Mm.
or do I make art?
Yeah.
And writing is the one that is like writing stories is the least, I feel like it's the least productive one
Mm.
that I can do because music I will play like I can record and I can like, put out and release form, and art is so therapeutic in that way as well, and like and I can give them away to people and people are very
Mm.
excited to receive paintings, which is my favorite. I love painting things for people, but like I don't know, it's like a story that I probably won't show anyone else because I'm just too shy. Like it's harder for me to like sit down and take up the time to do that.
Mhm. Well, and so kind of sticking with the two shyness, is there ever a time when you do write a song that you're just, oof, I don't know if I can share this. This is too personal or something like that?
I love when that happens because
Mm.
usually that's when I'm like, I know I have something good.
Yeah.
So those are the moments that I like. With music, I'm so comfortable and I kind of know what works for me.
Mm.
And I kind of can feel like, oh, this is a song that's going to feel good to me performing this for years, like I can tell that.
Hmm.
And so when that aligns with like that feeling of like, oh, I don't know if I should say that, like maybe I shouldn't say that. That's like, I get this like little like, like the devil on your shoulder who's like, you gotta say it, like you gotta do it. That's sometimes where my favorite songs come from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's. Uh, I've always been a fan of quote unquote fear telling me what to do, because if I'm fearful to do something, I feel like that then it means something to me.
Yeah,
So,
of
like,
course.
yeah, it's like, okay, it's the ultimate, like, trust yourself mechanism going off. So it's just like, oh, okay, this is what I have to do. Okay. So,
Yeah. I
and
mean, the other,
oh,
I
no.
guess, like, oh, what was I going to say? I lost it. Sorry. I interrupted you and then I lost
Oh,
what
no,
I was
I'm
going to
sorry.
say. You
I
go.
interrupted you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Um, if it comes back, let me know.
Okay.
But I'm curious again with this the album that you have coming up, a more intimate look at previous songs. Was there one or one or two, however many, that you were looking to just really kind of strip down and go bare bones with it?
Well, yeah, I think we have a lot of songs that are very rock and roll,
Mm-hmm.
that are so different the way that we ended up producing them versus the way that I wrote them. And for example, like the like Pastel Concrete was a song that we kind of turned into the surf rock song, on the record that we put out in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wrote it, I thought it was going to be this like folk, melancholic, like, soft, careful little song.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool to be like, yeah, that's what it was supposed to be. I love where it went, but let's remember that this was also where I first thought it was going to go. Um, so that's one. And then, like, another song, Honey, Have I Lost It All? When I wrote it, it's interesting because I definitely did write it thinking this was going to be a rock song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I loved playing it as more of a folk song, and I kind of felt like I uncovered a different side of it for myself.
And it's pretty cool that, not to say that you got a second shot, but you were just like, you know what, let me experiment and really let the people hear how I heard it originally in my head. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's super special, and I don't it's yeah, I think it's kind of badass that you're like, look, let me just get this out. Let me
Yeah,
is
thank
that
you.
of course, is there you know do you think that this is going to be kind of not a normal thing, but just saying, you know what, let me just kind of record how I heard it, like new music that comes out, or is it just going to be kind of like, you know what, I got this out of my system, let me focus on you know something else?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think for this one, like, I don't know if it's something I'm gonna do later on, like,
Mm.
a lot. I just I guess, yeah, we did so many dates, and we felt like we wanted. Another part of it is, like, I really do love touring alone. I love
Mm.
solo touring. I don't do it very much. I think that we really worked hard to establish ourselves as a rock band, and like a band that could be loud and play loud sets, and hold our own against other rock bands sonically. And that's great. We accomplished that. Um, but I did start off as a folk artist, and
Mm.
so one of the reasons why we did this record also is so that I could kind of reestablish that and be able to play shows solo again as well. And
Mm.
so it's like that, to be like, there's two sides to this band, or there's multiple sides to this band, and we're never going to be just one sound. Like, it is about the songs at the end of the day, and the songs can take different shapes. So I'm sure that later on down, there's always going to be alternate versions. There might be an album that starts off as a very folk album that we later reinterpret. But there's so many directions a song can go in. We learned this from the recording process, right? Like,
Mm.
you bring a song to a band and you try it out one way and you're like, this is cool. And you try it out another way and you're like, oh no, let's do it that way. But both ways felt good.
Mm.
And I think that, yeah, I think it's always worth
Yeah.
changing a song, trying it out.
Well, and it's nice because it sounds like you're not boxing yourself in creatively.
Right.
So,
Yes.
so yeah, there's so many people that I've talked to that, they radically go different because it's just like we've been doing the same thing for years and we need something different. I'm like, okay, I get it, but yeah, just kind of incorporating that as you go.
Uh-huh.
It's also not very jarring for the listener. That's like, oh, okay, yeah, that we have
Yeah.
this and we have that. Okay, cool.
Well, I think we love it too because like as a band, we all listen to different kinds of music,
Mm, yeah.
and I love the fact that we can get paired with a folk artist like Blind Pilot, go play those shows and have like a like that identity that can play a quiet show and then also go open for a very loud band
Mm-hmm.
or play it on a bill with very loud bands. Be like, yeah, we can do that too. Like, and we get like, I it's more interesting for all of us to be able to play shows with different sounding bands and we can appreciate both sides, all sides. So like it would be a bummer if we only ever played shows with bands of a certain genre. I think that would it's more creative this way.
Yeah. And which again, just like more power to you. And I'm again, I loved the acoustic album. I went back and listened to the counterpart songs just because I wanted to see the differences, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is. I loved it, and B, I was just fascinated because I just love. I love the variety, and I love the just the differences. But still, the soul of the song is still there. It's just it's just wrapped differently. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but for people at home who would like to pick up the album when it drops, or follow you online, catch a show, anything like that, where's the best place to keep in contact with you all?
Yeah, Instagram is a good place to follow up on shows. It's just Maita Music, and then Bandcamp is where we sell our records. So if you just search, I think it's also Maita Music on Bandcamp. It's all there.
Perfect, perfect. And before I let you go, Maria, I'm just kind of curious. There's no right or wrong answer, but I'm very curious. It's going to tell me everything I need to know about you. What
Okay.
makes a perfect song, in your opinion?
I think, uh, okay, saying something that is very authentic to you or to the story that you're trying to tell and not saying too much. I think that's what makes a perfect song.
Mm.
I think that there's always like that impulse to add an extra verse or an extra chorus or like extra words to a phrase. And I think um, when every single word feels like it's the perfect word and you haven't added any extra or filler, um, that that is when I feel you have a perfect song.
Do you have an example of a perfect song that you love? Like, and of course, it can be any from any
Yeah,
artist.
for sure. The most recent song I've heard where I'm like, this is a perfect song, is Body by Julia Jacqueline.
Mm.
I don't know if you've heard that, but it is stunning. Like every word of it is just, I love it.
Okay. Okay. I haven't heard it. I will absolutely go take a listen after this, right before my nap. Because yeah, I just I love finding what people love about music, and it's just all great.
Well, and I'm a lyrics person,
Mm.
so for me, like it's all about the words.
Yeah.
And if the words hit and then that's what matters. So I love a fun song that maybe isn't about the words, but that's my bread and butter.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Um, but yeah, again, I enjoyed the acoustic album. I enjoyed listening to the album that you had that came out in 2022. I'm just super excited to see, or to listen to everything else that you got cooking up, and I hope that you just have fun doing all the new different kind of touring and doing the folk. I hope you have fun, and just let you know, there's long drawn out sentence to say, you got a fan, you got a new fan.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, but I will let you go, and you have a wonderful rest of your day. And anytime you want to come back, just say the words, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you stay safe and healthy. All right.
You too.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.